Comrades, my name is Keir Starmer, and I'm here to fuck the foundations. When I became your Prime Minister, not only did I get new hair and glasses provided by a donor who now has full access to 10 Downing Street and my bedroom, we were promised three things. Number one, we would be fully costed and fully funded. We're so fully funded and fully costed, we're essentially just like Katie Price, or HS2, or the public sector in Argentina pre-Milei, depending on your sense of humour. In order to make the £22 billion hole in the budget even worse, we have spunked a whole bunch of cash at train drivers and junior doctors. This guarantees two things. Number one, they will vote Labour. Number two, nurses and teachers will be on strike again by the end.
Keir Starmer is facing the risk of losing everything as his darkest secrets are unveiled one by Katie Hopkins. Katie has boldly condemned the Labour Party leadership under Starmer, revealing shocking truths that could be enough to push him out of number 10 Downing Street. Stay tuned to follow these shocking developments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with the latest hot news from British politics. When Hopkins spoke about Starmer in her recent commentary, she didn't hesitate to raise sharp questions about how he governs, capturing public attention and sparking intense reactions on social media and across media outlets. Is Starmer favouring those who don't truly need it, while ignoring those who desperately do? Regardless of one's stance on Hopkins' views, it's hard to deny that she's reflecting a reality that resonates with the frustrations of many Britons. These harsh criticisms from Hopkins reveal her determination to force Starmer to acknowledge and confront issues he seems intent on avoiding.
Old Billy Big Bollocks, Keir Starmer, says he's prepared to make some unpopular decisions. But beware of this, it's a sleight of hand. Because we can all live with some unpopular decisions. It would be unpopular not to give 11 billion to Africa if you're a massive greenie. It would be unpopular with the doctors if you decided to say, actually, we can't afford to pay you more. You get more when you're a consultant, so just hang in there. It would be unpopular with his Muslim massive if you were to say, do you know what, if you've got more than one wife, we're going to tax you on the number of wives you have. Those things would be unpopular, but maybe they'd be quite reasonable or rational.
The controversy erupted when Keir Starmer was accused of trying to silence outspoken voices like Nigel Farage and Lee Anderson from platforms like GB News. Divisive as they may be, Katie Hopkins argues that these are precisely the voices we need in today's media landscape. Why? Because they dare to speak the truth, criticise openly and tackle tough issues head-on. To Hopkins, Farage and Anderson stand for the anger of ordinary people frustrated with Starmer's policies and the direction he's taking. Hopkins suggests that sidelining them doesn't solve anything. Instead, it only highlights Starmer's own weakness. This move exposes his fear of being challenged and his lack of confidence in facing the sharp criticisms from the public.
Long been rumours about Keir Starmer's private life, and they certainly aren't to do with any kind of doubts over his sexuality, if I can put it delicately. Okay. They are to do with his past and what the shape of his family really looks like. And it wouldn't be fair to go any further than that.
Katie Hopkins sees this as an issue of free speech. Rather than trying to silence dissenting voices, she believes Starmer should listen and respond with concrete action. Isn't a true leader someone who faces challenges and takes responsibility in the face of criticism? For many, silencing opposing opinions is not only wrong, but also exposes a clear lack of democracy in Starmer's style of leadership.
Is now they're launching a review at the Modernisation Committee. I'm not allowed to do Joey Deacon, but it's called the Modernisation Committee. Keir Starmer is frickin' fully Kim Jong-Starmer, isn't he? The Modernisation Committee will look at the advantages of outside paid engagement such as media appearances. So the plan is Keir Starmer wants to ban Nigel Farage and Lee Anderson, for that matter, from being able to be on GB News. So in order to square that circle, the aim is that they will ban Nigel and Lee from being able to be on GB News as hosts.
Katie Hopkins directs her criticism squarely at the way the Labour Party is neglecting pensioners and the older generation, people she believes are being ignored and left unprotected. She paints a picture of those who have spent a lifetime working hard, only to be met with indifference from the government in their later years. Hopkins argues that this is not just a failed policy, but a profound disrespect towards those who have dedicated their lives to raising families, building communities and supporting the economy.
Will you remain committed to scrapping them in
They're
your first
all
term?
pledges, Andrew, so the answer to these questions is yes.
So university tuition fees being scrapped will be in a Starmer manifesto?
Yes.
I think we are going to set out a fairer solution. And Justin, so
but it won't be the abandoning of tuition fees, will it?
Well, we are likely to move on from that commitment
Right.
because we do find ourselves in a different financial situation. But I don't want that to be read as us accepting for a moment that the current system is fair or that it's working.
Katie Hopkins is unrelenting in her criticism of Labour policies, especially under Keir Starmer's leadership. She not only points fingers, but expresses deep disappointment, arguing that the current government is completely neglecting the pressing needs of older citizens, particularly retirees. These are people who've dedicated their lives to building and contributing to society, yet now they feel sidelined. According to her, these pensioners feel forgotten, with basic needs still unmet and seemingly disregarded by the government. The frustration of the elderly isn't just due to rising living costs, especially the soaring energy prices or the decline in healthcare quality. It's the sense of abandonment by those in power. Hopkins insists that Starmer's policies are vague and disconnected from their reality. The specific and urgent issues facing the elderly, like their declining standard of living, are nowhere near the centre of government policy. To her, this is a blatant display of disrespect towards the tireless contributions this group has made to society over their lifetimes. Hopkins is also critical of Starmer's approach to immigration, suggesting that his government seems more concerned with accommodating migrants than supporting struggling British citizens. She challenges the government with a provocative question. How is it that they can quickly find housing for immigrants but can't guarantee homes for vulnerable British citizens, particularly those who are homeless? Hopkins sees this as an undeniable injustice that fuels resentment among the public, especially among the working class, who feel increasingly marginalised. One of Hopkins' strongest criticisms against Starmer centres on his broken promise not to raise taxes, a key pledge during his campaign. She argues that for working people, every pound earned is essential, and higher taxes only make their lives more challenging. When taxes rise, they're forced to cut back on essentials like rent, food, and other basic services. In a climate of rising inflation, higher taxes simply add to the burdens on the working class, who are already struggling to make ends meet. Hopkins sees this as a serious misstep, reflecting a deep lack of understanding of the public's difficulties under Starmer's leadership. Beyond policy critiques, Hopkins condemns Starmer's lack of transparency in his leadership approach. She believes that a responsible leader should be accountable to the public for their decisions. Yet, Starmer seems to avoid this, failing to clearly explain the promises he's made. When a leader breaks a key promise, such as keeping taxes low, public trust in their leadership plummets. This is a major reason why the public is growing increasingly dissatisfied and disillusioned with Starmer. Ultimately, Hopkins asserts that Starmer's leadership has left many feeling abandoned and overlooked. His policies not only fail to address essential issues the public is facing, from living costs to housing and social welfare, but they also deepen the public's resentment. Each broken promise further weakens public confidence in his ability to lead. To Hopkins, this is a clear sign of the government's failure to connect with and address the real challenges facing people, particularly the working class, every single day.